Yo, finally. I've been waiting so long for some Fire King stuff. You guys may not know this, because I've only made like one video about it, but Fire Kings are actually the Pepper TCG special. I don't talk about it very much, because every time I try to play the deck, it sucks ass. And there's really nothing to talk about. But now I have something to talk about, baby. So the new Fire King structure deck, we got 4 cards revealed. There should be like maybe 4 more, 3 or 4 more, I think. So far there's 4 cards. I have actually read all of them. I mean, you know, I go to work for 10 hours. I'm not sitting around at work for 10 hours not reading these cards. I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna stew. I'm gonna cook a little bit. So let's talk about this like new gimmick that they're going for. Which I'm actually going to start with the spell card, because the spell card is actually kind of the new gimmick. Let me zoom in here. So the spell card, when this card resolves, you can place a Fire King Island from your deck in your face-up field zone, which is really good. It's basically 6 copies of Island, which is one of the best cards in the deck. And if the island would be destroyed by a card effect, you can destroy a fire in your hand or field instead. So this is really good because if you read Island, it says that if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, it destroys all monsters you control. So basically, if your opponent just pops your island, it wipes your own board. So this gives you some nice protection from that, which is really good. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can immediately, after this resolves, Xyz summon 1 Fire Xyz using only Fire Kings you control. So basically what this does is that it lets you make this new rank 8 Xyz on your opponent's turn, which is really good. It's 3k attack, it's generic, and when if it is Xyz summoned, you can destroy all other monsters on the field. So it is a full board wipe on your opponent's turn, which is obviously very strong. Prank kids were good for that exact reason. I mean, they got 2 of them, right? But Fire Kings being able to put up 1 pretty easy is not bad. It's better than anything they had before, I can tell you that. So they do have a new boss that is good going first and second. Right? Like, imagine dropping Dark Ruler and then just making this guy, right? Going second. Just destroy everything. It's like the easiest board wipe of all time. It also, unlike the OG Garunix, you can detach a material to target a spell trap card on the field, destroy it, and this card gains 500. So Fire Kings in the past kind of struggled with dealing with back row because the only way they had in engine to pop back row was technically Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys, but it wasn't consistent and it wasn't good. But this fixes a big weakness of the deck that they had a hard time with back row. So this is really nice. This is really nice to see. And if this card with material is destroyed, you can special summon 1 Fire King. You can special summon Fire King monsters from your graveyard up to the number of materials that this card had. So if you only use this first effect, which doesn't need to detach anything, whenever this card is destroyed, you can summon 2 Fire Kings from the grave, which is really sick. Unfortunately, most decks these days have non-destructive removal, like bouncing or banishing or whatever, which kinda sucks for this card, but you know, if you pop it with your own effect or whatever, you can trigger it. And some decks might not have easy access to non-destructive removal, so this card just kind of ruins their entire day. Next is the new main deck Garunix. Level 8 Winged Beast, 27, 17, it's the same stats. It's just the new upgraded version. If your monster, whose original attribute is fire, is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard or hand. And if this card is normal or special summon, destroy a fire beast, beast warrior, or winged beast from your hand, deck, or face-up field, except this card. And if you do, this card gains attack equal to half the attack of the destroyed monster. So number 1, this is really good because it can destroy any fire beast, beast warrior, or winged beast, which means now the deck does have pretty easy access to Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. So if you're playing against back row, you can slot in that one copy of Nephthys, and now you have this card that can destroy it from the deck very easily, without having to play like a whole bunch of jank Nephthys cards, pretty much. And this first effect is actually really, really important, because it works the same way that Gazelle does off of Cynet Mining if you pitch a Salad, or the same way that Ixeep works if you search it with the Deepest Depths. Whoops. Deepest. Right, so Distant Depths, it banishes a fish from the grave to search a fish. And then Ixeep, it remembers that a fish was banished so that it can special summon from the hand. And this card works the same way, or at least it should work the same way, where you can, if you have Island, you can actually pop this, or you can pop any fire in your hand, search this new Garunix, and it will remember that a card was popped. So you can special summon the same Garunix that you just searched, which is insane. It basically turns Island into like a 1.5 card starter for the deck, which is really, really good. I thought this effect was only okay until I realized that you can do that. It's just absolutely insane. This card is really good. The new Kirin, this is the high avatar Kirin. So originally we had like the little baby Kirin. So this is the upgraded version. So it's a fire beast, 2400 attack. It has 200 defense, by the way, so rekindling target. We're gonna get that rekindling searcher any day now. Any day now. During the main phase, if this card is in your hand, quick effect, destroy one other fire in your hand or face-up field, and if you do, special summon this card. So this is really nice because it lets you play during your opponent's turn a little bit. So if you're going second and you have this card plus the OG Garunix, you can quick effect pop the OG Garunix, summon this guy, and now your opponent has to deal with a board wipe like during your standby phase. So they have to kind of like tailor their board in order to stop this board wipe, which is really funny. But it also obviously can start combos during your turn as well, just because it's a pop and a free special. So this is one of the main ways that you're going to be using to go into the EXCs going second. And if this card is destroyed and sent to the grave, you can special summon a Fire King monster from your hand or graveyard except this card, then destroy one card on the field. So it has also a really good destruction effect as well. Right, like if you're in a grindy game, you can just summon back Fire Kings from your graveyard, and then non-target destroy a card, which is also really sick. There's just a lot of potential with this card, and that wraps it up for all the new stuff. I think they're all really solid, actually. I think when I first read them, I was a little like, eh, but then I read them a bit more, and I thought about the rulings and the combos a bit more. And I do think that for the first 4 cards that are revealed, these are all really solid. The only thing I'm worried about now is that this card, the Sanctuary, isn't searchable going first on turn 1. Right, technically the deck does have a spell searcher in Barong, but Barong searches during the next standby phase, not immediately. And as of right now, this card is really the only way to play on the opponent's turn other than just normal summon Arvada. So I'm hoping that, you know, potentially we might get like a high avatar Barong that's a level 8 and searches immediately when it's destroyed, so that you can search for the Sanctuary going first. Because if you don't see this card going first, you're going to be in a lot of trouble, because you're basically going to have no interruptions, which really sucks. So I'm hoping that we get some kind of good searcher for this card. Otherwise, this deck is just going to be kind of Unga Bunga blind second, and it's going to turn into a rank 8 turbo deck, which, you know, isn't bad. It's not bad to have Unga Bunga blind second decks every now and then, but I really like playing Fire Kings right now as a control deck, not really an OTK deck. So I'd like to kind of lean into that, you know, board wipe every turn, control, resource looping deck. I'd like to see kind of that sort of playstyle evolve here. Some other little techs that I want to talk about. I think Shell is still going to be really good, because you have even more, like, destruction effects now, right? And if you want to just, like, loop advantage over and over again, I think Shell, just being able to add infinite resources to your hand, is really good. Another funny little thing is Mannadium Trid. I think Mannadium Trid is kind of funny, because it's a fire. You can just pop it out of your hand, and it will summon any, like, Mannadium Orb from the deck. And if you combine the Orb, which is level 2 Tuner, with any of your level 8s, any of the new level 8s, or even Garunics, you can make Synchro 10s, which includes things like Qingying or Barone. And what's cool about Qingying is that it can actually protect itself from your board wipes. And if it does, so yeah, let me just go over this real quick. If this card would be destroyed by a card effect, you can banish a card from your graveyard instead. So it can protect itself from your Garunix wipes, or your Garunix Eternity board wipes, things like that. And what's really nice about it is that if a card is banished from the graveyard, which can be triggered by this effect, you can banish a card from your opponent's field and graveyard. Now this is really nice, because one thing that Fire Kings really struggle with is monsters that cannot be targeted by card effects and destroyed by card effects. So if you can play like a little Mannadium sub-engine to get out things like Qingying, it can help you deal with, like, those untargetable, indestructible guys, which is really nice. It's a really good thing for the deck. So that could be something worth looking into, right? You know, like, this triggers if a fire attribute monster is popped. Avatar Kirin can destroy a fire in your hand to special summon. So if you have Kirin plus Trid, you can go, you know, Kirin, pop Trid, special Kirin, Trid effect, summon Meek, and then make Qingying. So you have, like, really easy ways to get to level 10 synchros if you do, you know, some funny little Mannadium stuff. And plus, as of right now, the deck doesn't really have good normal summons. Like, Barong is way too slow. Yaksha doesn't really do anything. You know, Kirin and Baby Garunix are okay, I guess. So if you have, like, a Riem Heart as your normal summon, you can use all of these little orbs as pop fodder for your island and your Kirin and your Garunix. And you can just synchro climb while you're doing your Fire King setups. So that's a really funny thing that I might look into a little bit. And then, of course, there's all the new volcanic stuff, right? Right, like Shell is infinite advantage. Volcanic Trooper searches Shell. So if you want, like, a good normal summon, you can use this, which searches Shell. And also, you can give your opponent a token, which can play around things like Evenly Matched and Lightning Storm. So that's another, like, pretty good thing to have going first, is protection from Evenly and Lightning Storm. As well as things like Rimfire, which is basically just a way to search Shell again, I think. Yeah, you banish this card from your grave, send a volcanic from deck to grave, so yeah. So you can basically just play like a whole bunch of copies of Shell, and all of these shells will be tons and tons of resources for like your Kirins and your islands and stuff. So that's fun. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do with these new cards. So let's say we have something like Sanctuary in hand plus regular Garunix, right? Alright, let's just say we have these two in hand. Any day now, it'll add to my hand. This stupid ass website. Alright, so we can do something like this, where we activate the Sanctuary. This will grab us the field spell. We can activate the field spell, and then use the effect, destroy this Garunix to add the new Garunix. And then the new Garunix will remember that we destroyed this Garunix, so its effect will activate to special summon. And on summon, we can use the effect to destroy Kirin. So we destroy Kirin, and then we can activate the effect of Kirin, which will special summon back the baby Garunix. Or not baby Garunix, the proto Garunix, I guess. You can see already, just like Island plus regular ass Garunix is the new Xyz, right? You can just make the new Xyz. So going second, super easy access to this card. There's like tons of opening plays that get you to this guy. And even going first, if you have the Sanctuary, this is the board wipe on the opponent's turn as well. So this is really sick. Let's see, does this plus Kirin do anything? Maybe, oh yeah, it does actually. Yeah, because we can do this. Activate this effect, which will activate the island. We can use the island, pop this to graveyard, and then we can grab the new Garunix if this would get out of my way. This is why I don't use DB. Yep, so now we add this. This remembers that this was popped, so we can special. And then we can use this effect to destroy Arvada. Now Arvada, when it's destroyed, you can target a fire beast, beast warrior, or winged beast in your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated and it's destroyed during the end phase. So we can just summon back this guy, summon back the Kirin, and then once again that gives us access to our rank 8s, right? Gives it any rank 8 in the entire game. So yeah, you can see there's pretty good ways to get to the rank 8. Like, it's actually not like super difficult. You just have to open, either Sanctuary or Island, plus basically any of the old or new Fire Kings, which is pretty sick. And like I said, I'm really hoping that we get a searcher for Sanctuary specifically, because if you do something like this going first without Sanctuary, you're basically just summoning a Blue Eyes White Dragon. You're basically just summoning a vanilla monster, right? Like, it's not good. You could make any other generic rank 8 in the game, I guess, like something like Photon Lord or Hope Harbinger. One little negate's not going to get you anywhere, right? So I'm hoping that there's a way that we can kind of search this so that we have easy access to this going first on the play. So that about wraps it up for what are my initial thoughts on these cards. I think the first 4 are all really solid. I think there's a lot of room to experiment with just these on their own. So time will tell. Hopefully we'll get the more cards revealed soon. So how many new cards did this have? Let's see, Rainbow 1, Genta 2, Parl 3, Puppetry 4, Archives 5, Punishment 6. So this got 6 new cards. What about... What's another recent one? The Machina? Well, this isn't very recent anymore, I guess, but... it is one of the newer ones. So it's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one got 8. So I guess it depends. Anywhere from 6 to 8. Hopefully we get 8. I would love to have just more cards, right? So yeah, that's my initial thoughts. I'm actually very impressed with the first little wave here. Let me know if there's any spicy techs you guys have thought of already. And with that, see ya.